to attack your integrity. Don't worry, no.
Hello, everyone. This is Sam Hill, your host of How I Came Up. This week we have Mercedes Wilson. She is the co-host of AM Buffalo and the founder of Mercedes Wilson Enterprise. I can't wait for you to hear her story. Now let's get to it. This is How I Came Up.
I am born in Medina, New York, grew up in Lockport, New York, and currently reside in the Tonawanda, New York area. And we grew up, everybody got along. Normal childhood until I was about 12 years old. When I was 12 years old, someone very close to the family began to sexually abuse me, and that kind of changed life. It changed the course of my life. Really kind of shaped who I am today. So like so many other young people that have to experience that, sexual abuse was a part of my life. And when I turned 15, an aunt of mine took me in, an aunt and uncle, whom I loved so dearly, took me in and really started to mentor and really shaped me as a young woman and show me love and show me unconditional love and love me through everything that I was going through. And I would say that I learned hard work in my childhood, but this is where I really learned hard work and perseverance and caring for others and loving others through rough times in their lives. So my childhood, although good when I was young, definitely had some rough patches, but those rough patches prepared me to become the woman that I am today. So I did school in Medina, and then I did most of my schooling up until 10th grade in Lockport, and then went back to Medina High School and did my junior and senior year there. I then I moved to Olean, New York to get my associate's degree, and actually got married at 18 and started a family. So I did my schooling at Empire State College online because I knew I wanted to continue my education, but at the same time start a family. So I got my bachelor's degree in human services. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, but I knew that I loved working with people and that I loved helping people. So I did get my bachelor's degree in human services online. And I loved working with people so much that I actually went into sales. And I used to work for AT&T, and I just knew that that was what I was going to retire from. So I worked for AT&T Mobility for close to 7 years. I loved every part of it. I started as a sales rep, then worked up to assistant manager, and then became store manager. And I was loving it. I loved the training. I loved everything but the inventory. That was a lot of work, but I loved hiring. I loved training. I loved building relationships. I loved meeting new customers. I loved every part of it. But then in 2011, I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer when I was 28 years old. And let me tell you, the process of going through cancer and the chemotherapy and the mental changes and the physical changes, being a newly divorced mom, a single mom, that completely changed my whole process, my thought process on life. And I immediately wanted to go back to work to get moving after cancer, after my surgeries. And when I went back to work, I realized that life just wasn't the same. I did not think the same. I did not want the same things. And so I knew at that point in time that I had to make a change in my life. And so again, going off of that degree and knowing that I wanted to work with humans, and that I wanted to work with people, and that I love the human interaction, and that I love seeing people helped. I started a nonprofit organization called For Our Daughters. And we started going into high schools. And the mission was super simple. It was to tell young ladies, go home, learn your family history, because so many of us don't know our family history. Just like I didn't when Roswell came to me and asked me, hey, what's your family history when it came to cancer? I didn't know it. So I didn't want other young ladies to have to go through what I went through. So the mission was simple. Go and tell young ladies to go home and learn their family history. They started to speak up and they said, well, Miss Mercedes, there's reasons why we don't speak up. I took that information back to the board of directors and we developed a curriculum, a 4-day curriculum where we started going into high schools. 2 of the days was a program where we did life-like situations. We brought it to the youth and talked them through how to have those tough conversations with those they loved. And then the second 2 days was physical. That was the physical part. So we wanted to show them that living a healthy lifestyle can be fun. So again, that was me wanting to help others. And I was able to do that through For Our Daughters.
Hi, I'm Mercedes. This organization empowers young women at an early age in life skills, business, and socialization. It's the Girl Scout. Find out about what's changed in scouting Wednesday morning live at 10 a.m.
While working with For Our Daughters, just like every other nonprofit, we started going to the different television stations, 2, 4, 7, WBBZ, and saying, hey, will you help us spread the word about the organization? One of the television stations that we were working with at the time, one of the managers of the station said to me, Mercedes, it looks like you have something in TV. And I said, no, I'm good. We're just here about the organization. That's all we're here for. Well, when they launched their television show called The Daily Buzz, they asked myself along with 5 other women to be a part of this daily talk show. And so that kind of launched me into television. Which I had no clue that I would ever be doing that. But turns out I loved it because once again, we got to deal with folks from the community. I got to deal with people and I loved it. So we got to highlight all of the great stuff that was going on in Western New York, especially in Buffalo, all of the great events and people. And so from there, I started doing these segments with Channel 7 called Recipes for Life. And that was once a week, I would invite somebody into the kitchen and they would cook a dish. And they would cook a dish that meant something to them. So the community would get a recipe that they loved, along with a great story behind it. And the first guest that I had on was my father. And my father did my grandmother's greens, he did her cornbread, and we did steak together. And when he talked about her greens, he talked about her relish that she used to make. And so when I heard about this relish, I said, what is this relish that you speak of? And so my dad described this relish that my grandma used to make from the garden in her backyard. I do remember this huge garden her and my grandpa had. They had 11 kids. So they needed, means to feed the family. And so he described this relish and I made it to the best of my ability based on what my dad described. And he was tasting it. And when it got to the point where he said, this tastes like one of grandma's variations, I started letting other people taste it. Lo and behold, my friends and family were like, this needs to be on shelves in grocery stores. So if you walk into most likely the Tops next to your house, you will find one of the jars of Sadie's Relish in your local Tops. And it has now been picked up by Wegmans as well. It is in some local restaurants and also in a lot of the local markets around Buffalo and Western New York. But I have to say, I always say it goes back to 2011 when I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer, because everything is a chain of events. So it's not just one piece to the pie, everything is linked up.
You're amazing. There'll never be another like you.
So I did have my own show at one point in time, and it was called the Mercedes Wilson Show. And that came right after the Daily Buzz show on WBBZ TV. I went to radio for a stint and then realized, you know what, I really do love TV. So I created a television show that was all about topics within today's church that we tend to avoid. I love talking about the topics that we tend to avoid, but that everybody wants to talk about. So I invited leaders and different pastors and musicians from all over. And we had some great conversations. I mean, like, we talked about stuff that people didn't want to talk about publicly, but everybody was talking about behind closed doors. And I really, really, really enjoyed it. And I got so much feedback. People still ask today, when are you coming back with the Mercedes Wilson Show? And I say, guys, I'm a little bit busy. I'm a little bit too busy to do that right now. But I really, really, really enjoyed that because people would contact me and say stuff like, man, I've really been struggling with that, or secretly struggling with that, or thank you for, talking about that topic. It really helped me grow in this area.
Good morning on this glorious Friday, everyone. I'm Emily Lampa.
And I am Mercedes Wilson.
And we are high atop One M&T Plaza this morning.
Yes.
It is amazing.
Yes.
And then from there, I was able to start doing Christmas productions. And Christmas productions, I was actually asked to do a Christmas production for a Canadian television station that the Mercedes Wilson Show was on. They asked me to virtually host because it was during COVID. And I put together the first Christmas production with a team here in Buffalo. And the team loved it so much. And they're like, okay, you can't do this for just Canada and not put together a show here. So I put it on WBBZ TV. And the manager from BBZ was like, wait a minute, this is amazing. You need to send this to Channel 7. And so I sent it to Channel 7 and they loved it. So that has aired on Channel 7 for the last couple of years. I've produced those. And then from there, that relationship blossomed, and that's where Recipes for Life came from. So Recipes for Life was the weekly segment that I did, which then transformed into what I now do, which is the morning show co-host, AM Buffalo, alongside the lovely co-host, Emily Lampa. And Monday through Friday, every morning, we get to highlight all of the beautiful people across Western New York, the events, the great people, and just really keep people up to date on what's going on around Western New York. So it's amazing to be a part of that. And I love the growth. I love being a part of it. I love meeting new people. And again, I love people, and I love doing it with a great co-host as well.
You may have caught her in one of her many appearances on AM Buffalo.
The segment that I shoot with Channel 7 Recipes for Life, my dad was my first guest.
She and her dad started talking about her grandmother's relish.
He talked to me about my grandma's cha-cha. And I had never had it, but it was a dish that she made and she jarred for her family. Her and my grandpa had 11 kids.
Mercedes was able to recreate her grandmother's recipe, and Sadie's relish was born.
The process is real. I have a co-packer now, but before we got to the point where I have a co-packer that can do every step, my family and I are dicing 500 pounds of vegetables. We are dicing them. So when you see these jars in the store, know that these have been diced, and they've been diced with love and exhaustion. So you see the little ones with their little hair nets and their smocks and their gloves, and they're peeling stickers off. And then you see the teenagers cutting, and then you see me with the dicing machines. That's probably not funny to them. It's funny to me. It'll be funny to them one day. But then you see like friends and family just eating it out the jar, and us laughing, and people putting it on stuff that I'm just like, okay, you're taking it too far. Like, some people are putting it on their Chinese food. Some people are putting it on baked potatoes. Some people are putting it on things I'm like, I don't think it was meant for that. But if that's what y'all want to put it on, then hey, it's good. But there's just stories of people just putting it on all sorts of stuff. And you know what? I think the part that will make me that makes me smile the hardest is I think my grandma is smiling down from heaven, and she is so proud. She is so happy because her green thumb has paid off through her grandbaby. So I would say that's the biggest smile. But I'm laughing at my family when they see the produce company deliver 500 pounds of vegetables and their jaws drop. And I'm looking at them like, let's go. The end game for Mercedes, I see myself, well, first of all, this relish needs to be anywhere that hot dogs are sold. Hot dogs, hamburgers, collard greens, sausages, anywhere those are sold, this relish needs to be. So we are on a mission to get this relish everywhere. I'm talking stadiums, I'm talking hot dog stands, I'm talking grocery stores, I'm talking restaurants. So we're on a mission for that. And then to give back, find a way to give back through that. And then to be honest, I am on a mission. It's mission generational wealth for my kids. And when I say wealth, I don't mean just money. I mean mental, I mean spiritual, I mean the fears and the worries and things like that I had. I'm on a mission to have my children feel secure. And to be honest, I'm looking forward to, it's gonna be a while away. It's gonna be a long, long way away, but enjoying my family, watching the kids grow up and grandbabies. And to me, it's generational because I know what I went through, and it's all about my family and happiness and building. My husband and I just building for our family. And that could be because of, the breast cancer. I'm valuing life. So I'm looking forward to all of those things. I'm looking forward to the business part, but I'm looking forward to enjoying the fruit of that with my family because I am here for a reason and I'm here with my family. So I'm looking forward to family. So in 2021, it was such an honor to be nominated for a Black Achievers Award. Channel 7 nominated me, and that was such an honor to be honored with so many great people around Buffalo, New York. That was a great honor, a great honor. So you can find me on all social media handles. And my social media, it's Mercedes E. Wilson. And before I go, I have to give a shout out to my family, my husband, my children, my dad, my aunt, my uncle, my cousins, the whole family, friends, the Western New York community. The love from around the country has been amazing. I just want to say I love all of you. Thank you all for your support. You have all made me who I am. And for that, I am so grateful. My name is Mercedes Wilson, and this is how I came up.
Hello, this is Sam Hill from Success in Me. We are excited to announce Season 4 of How I Came Up will air this November. We have educators, entertainers, and entrepreneurs this season. We can't wait to share their stories. Now let's get to it. This is how I came up.